Hi event professionals! This episode of BIM's Eventalks won't be the same as all previous ones. If you didn't watch them, please watch. And today I'll talk to three representatives of event agencies, kind of different specializations, and ask some questions about their work. It's the first time when we try such a format, so please support us with your thumbs up. Share the video with your colleagues and friends. Subscribe to the channel and let's go! Are you serving for big events or any kind?
Obviously our clientele covers a nice breadth of work, especially in our hotels, because we do have an on-site team. So the hotel, it could be something as simple as a flip chart in a meeting room or in a boardroom, and it could go all the way up to a general session for 5,000 people. So, we have a wide range. I would say our core strength is doing meetings in the 500 to a couple thousand people, general sessions. Some 25 to 50 breakouts, but we do have, clients that get above 100 breakouts or concurrent sessions. And, we provide the audiovisual, equipment such as projectors, screens, computers, things of that nature for those type of events. So, we got a pretty wide, but I'd say we like to focus on the mid-size events, and we work with a lot of corporations as well, doing like sales meetings, product launches, things of that nature.
Just for a big old party, essentially. But in terms of working with corporate clients and in education clients, really the heart of every conference is learning. And so from that perspective, while we serve mostly education organizations or ed tech companies or government entities, really anybody who does an event, a conference specifically, is aiming to do so for the purpose of learning.
So it's universities and companies that make different training courses like that?
Yes, or like we've done a few events for like the State Department of Education in a variety of states. And so they want to have a virtual event where they can pull educators from all over the state together to share in the learning of specific things. And we've done job fairs and career fairs for those organizations. And mostly we do a lot of annual conferences, or we're starting to do more like quarterly sales calls for corporate clients and webinar events. But in our platform, in our work, we actually produce those webinars, so they're a little more visually appealing and a little bit more engaging than just sort of your talking head video conference experience.
That's the great thing about this agency. That we get to work for every company, every market, every topic. We do conferences on sustainability. We do conferences on economics. We do scientific conferences. We have moderated a conference on processing chicken shit. Everything.
A number of years ago, I kind of coined myself the AV ambassador, and where that came from is a lot of meeting and event planners don't want to be experts at technology. They have a lot on their plates. They wear a lot of hats, and so my vision is that I am a resource to meeting and event planners, so that they don't have to be experts in AV production. They know that they can come to me. I'm going to have their back. I look out for the challenges they might have and advise them on how to best navigate those challenges. And so, I always say that audiovisual, you have a technology background, and you're in a technology field. So it seems easy to us, but I don't like to assume that it's easy for everybody. And so that's kind of my approach, is to say that I'm available. I try to think of the things you haven't thought of, so that you don't have a bad event, and that you have a great event. So
Any format where there's interaction between people.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a speaker on stage or on screen and he will just talk, well, I don't think you need a moderator. But as soon as the speaker needs to start interaction with people in the room or people that are online, you need a moderator, because a speaker knows how to speak, and a speaker is an expert on a certain topic, but a speaker is not an expert moderator. And I mean, if you look at online, it's even harder, because people are not in the room. There's just the chat and maybe a poll, or it becomes harder to really engage people and keep them active and fresh. And then you need a moderator. So any format where there's interaction between groups or between people, get yourself a moderator.
it depends on, obviously on the type of event it is. I'd say our average events fall somewhere between 5 and 15 key team members.
Wow.
And however, that could, for load in, load outs, we've had events where we have 30 or 40 stagehands working on a variety of things. But I'd say our average event falls in the 5 to 15 person crew. And, often most events, you're going to need 6 to 8 lead technicians. You're going to have an audio technician. You're going to have a video technician, probably a graphics operator, a couple camera operators, maybe a stage manager. And then if you're doing virtual, you're going to pick up somebody who's working with the virtual guests and somebody managing the virtual feeds. So you usually get into 10 to 12 people at no problem on a virtual event. And so
That's a big team.
yeah, I mean, it's not huge, but you definitely, that's one of the things we've learned in the virtual, is you don't want to try to have somebody doing 2 or 3 jobs. It's hard enough to do a virtual event as is. It's good to have somebody focused on a singular task, so that you don't miss anything. And so that does increase the amount of people you might need for a project.
How many people at your team are responsible for the one event on average?
Yeah, so we typically have we are a very small team on a day-to-day basis. There's just 2 of us on a day-to-day basis. However, we do, for the live events, we do contract a producer, and we do a lot of contracting with a graphic designer to make sure that the look and feel of the marketing assets are appropriate and in place. And we also use that graphic designer to create sort of like a study guide / handout / agenda programming that people can download and print if that helps them. So we have an event producer, a graphic designer, a project manager, and then sort of somebody that just oversees, the project manager oversees everything, but then the other person sort of manages the client from the beginning to the end and does the data dig and the debrief with them too.
So in sum, it's about 5 to 6.
Yeah, about 5 to, yes. And if we need to hire moderators for different sessions to make sure that, the session presenters get their proper introduction and things like that, then we also sort of contract MCs, a variety of MCs that can facilitate that as well.
And so on average, how many moderators I need for I don't know, 500 persons?
That fully depends on your program. If the whole program is plenary, just one online room and everybody is there,
Mm-hmm.
you need one moderator.
Mm-hmm.
If you start splitting up in streams and smaller groups, sometimes it might be moderated by people from your own organization, if it's fairly simple moderating.
Mm-hmm.
So then you need more moderators, but they can be internal moderators. Maybe they should get a little training. And sometimes you need a moderator for each breakout session. So we have been doing projects where we had 12, 13 moderators online at the same
Wow.
time, sometimes. But in most cases, it's one or maybe two.
And there's the person, the project manager sort of functions as the tech person on the day of the event. So there's the producer who just manages the live stream, but then there's that tech support person who's keeping an eye on the chat, looking at the analytics to figure out, where people are inside of the platform, and just managing the email and the support tickets that come in. Those have obviously decreased as we've done this a lot, and other people have done this a lot, but sometimes you have people come in on a VPN and it changes their experience. And so it's just really simple things that are predictable, and we can communicate that 100 times before the event, but some people will not pay attention to that until they're in the event and need that support. So we definitely have somebody available for that as well.
In person, groups have been getting smaller over the years. So I think on average, 150, 200.
Mm-hmm.
Online, the groups tend to be a bit bigger. I mean, there is a specific kind of meetings online that will only hold 20 to 50 people. But I think that on average, if you're looking online, we're looking at 250, 300, maybe even going to 400 on average, because there's also events where there will be 5,000 people online.
Yeah, so we hosted the Middle East Thought Leadership Conference last October, and it was for higher education institutions and leaders in the Middle East region. And we had about 3,000 attendees.
Oh, wow.
And the speakers were from all over the world, and UNESCO was a part of that, the United Nations work. And we are repeating that in May, and we are really excited about it. Look, I think it can happen. I think what's interesting is the capacity that those people have to vet tools and speakers and content. And I think adding in an agency partner can really speed up the work and increase the capacity, because of just the sheer nature of how many times our agencies support clients, and what our Rolodex of connections and people and networking and sponsors and all of those pieces. So, I mean, I think that you look towards an agency to expand your capacity, not to replace your team. And I think that there are things that teams can learn, or that your existing team can do, and there are times and certain types of events that you don't need to bring in an outside support team. But again, in the midst of the changing environment from in person to virtual, I think things are leveling up, and your team may or may not have the capacity to learn what it takes to level up. The other thing I would say is an agency partner in the virtual space is not different than sort of the hotel or the venue project manager for your event that you worked with before, because that person in the venue is going to make sure you get the right food, you're going to have the right linens, you're going to have the right setup. They're managing that project from the venue's perspective. And when you are thinking about a virtual experience for an event, the purpose of the agency is to manage the venue. And I think that we have to start to consider again, the container or the venue for the events. And if you had a project manager at the physical venue, you probably need a project manager for the virtual venue. And if you're doing hybrid, those project managers need to connect and talk a lot.
That's a question of talent. I've had in company people in my training that were really very good, that I really after the training performed very, very well. And honestly, out there's a lot of people saying they are professional moderators, but they're not all very good moderators. So good moderator, being a good moderator is partly talent, is partly skills, and is partly a deep love for every participant in the room. And you see good examples of that within companies, on the professional moderator market, anywhere. And you see lousy examples of that anywhere. But yes, in company, people can be very great moderators. Sometimes a little training helps, and sometimes they're naturals.
Explaining what we do. Because we have, we do virtual events and we also manage online communities, and helping people understand that those two things are really connected, because it's really the community helps people find the event and then supports them after the event. And so our work is really both community management and online events, and making sure people know how those two pieces are connected, because it's not often that people see those things in a circular visual. And that's what essentially we're doing. We're building the community to feed the events. The events feed the community feeds the events. And I think that's cyclical in nature, and helping people understand that that's what we are good at, and that's the angle, that's what makes us different. It's sometimes hard to explain because people don't expect it.
What is the hardest aspect of your work?
That's a good question. You're almost stumping me right now. So, I think the hardest part of it, I kind of alluded to this earlier, is, the show must go on, which is once you sign up to be a partner for an event, there's generally a day that the event's going to go live. And no matter how much you've prepared, you have to go live. And so, I often have to explain to my wife why I'm working, late hours, and I'll be like, well, we got an event this week and they just sent me the content for it like 10 minutes ago. And I have 48 hours till doors, and I'm going to have to organize this content now, because it is when it showed up. Even though I might have asked for it to be here 2 weeks ago, it's here now, and my choice is to let the event fail. And so I often joke that I'm in the last week of somebody else's nightmare every week. So that's not that bad. I'm in the last week of something somebody else didn't get done 2 weeks ago, and so that's challenging, and it does take a toll. And I think it's good to be honest about that. I think that's one of the challenges event professionals have had. I think coming out of the pandemic, I've been really asking myself, what does, a quality of life look for event profession? And with that being said, I am pleased to say in the virtual and with a lot of clear communications, clients are getting things earlier. They are meeting deadlines. They are recognizing that there is an impact to not getting that content ready on time. So, I do see a shift in the industry, and I am excited about it. So, but no less, when you receive that video at 3 a.m, that's hard. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, because our agency, in regards to supporting online and hybrid events and also ongoing community management, a typical relationship with us starts at about $7,500. But the reason that I think that, and I find that very affordable, it basically covers the cost
Yeah.
of our team and the work that we do to prep and get ready and execute. However, I think that we are just one tiny piece of the budget, because if you are going to have marketing ad spend, if you are going to have in-person venue in addition to the virtual or to the virtual space, those are additional costs. And so before, the physical venue come with a specific amount of money that sort of takes you to get in, and the virtual edition is on top of that. And so that's where the expense comes in, is that you might be able to do an either or you might need to do both, and your budget will determine that and what that looks like. So it can be grandiose, or it can be really quite affordable if you want it to be. But lots of people at the beginning of the pandemic were just talking a lot about how it's so much cheaper to do a virtual event. It certainly was when we were in the very basic level of what a virtual event could look like. We
Yeah.
can do much better now, and we should. And so therefore, it's not going to be quite as inexpensive as we originally intended it to be.
On average, a moderator for a full day of work will start from 2,000 euros a day. That is including preparation, not including travel, etc. But from there onwards, if you do not have that budget, call us anyway, because we're always up for a challenge. We love challenges, and very often we can find a way of making it work within your budget. So call us anytime, anyway, even if you think that you cannot pay that budget. As for the meeting design, that goes on an hourly rate basis, and that starts from 250 euros per hour. And then it depends on how many hours we would need to help you design.
Minimum budget I need to use your service.
We don't have a minimum budget. I would say that most virtual projects that we manage might start in the 5,000 range, and and that'd be in US dollars. Moving into something more advanced, it's usually in the 20 to 30,000 range, and then for more of a gala type event, it's got a lot of moving parts to it, but it's a pretty focused type experience. And then conferences can get exponentially larger from there, depending on the scale of them, and we bid those to suit. We don't turn away many clients, though. I mean, I have projects that are $500, $1,500, but I'd say most projects are in that $5,000 to $15,000 range that are just basic entry-level projects.
I hope you love my guests and learn something new from them. If you know someone who I should talk to about event industry, please write in the comment. And again, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next episode.